You missed that one.
Yeah, just thinking. They're starting now. Give me a good check right now, guys.
Check, check.
Check, check, check. All right, cool. I'll have one ear in, so if you guys start saying something interesting, I'll play the theme music like I do normally, okay?
Sweet.
Awesome. I like that B knows this shit. All right, all right, all right. Right? This one terrifies me, actually.
This is the babyface version, though.
I know. We're back. Heel Talk Radio on kaoticradio.com.
Was that some foreshadowing, maybe?
A little bit. I am your host, Jeff Maverick, and with me this week is...
Oh, what is it this week?
Well, because Super Kick Kid spoiled it, but...
well, kayfabe, bro. I wasn't going to sell it like he didn't spoil it.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
My bad. Yeah. So this week, it's Dancing Cole Dawson.
Yeah, that's a little inside joke there for those of you who follow us on the social medias and type things.
Oh,
this guy's cute, and he made a GIF.
I did. Actually, our old engineer did, but he sent it to me, and I will bring it up from time to time when I'm having a bad day because I get a little freaking giggle out of it.
That's right. My sexy moves.
And it's Cole in all of his Dancing Cole Dawson glory.
Yes.
I may just go ahead and throw it up on the Heel Talk Radio.
I'll wiggle like Jella.
You can. Man, Blue Meanie ain't got shit on you, sir.
Correct.
Which, maybe a little more foreshadowing.
I don't know about that. When we talked to the meanie, I actually admitted that my first gimmick was kind of a hybrid of Blue Meanie and basically Hurricane Helms. Like that was like I just like threw those two things together, and I was a dancing superhero doing the meanie dance and all that, even being called the Green Meanie. But
I loved talking to Meanie. That was fun.
It was.
That was so cool. That kind of a little bucket list item. An original ECW guy. I mean, come on. The BWO, the W guy. It was fun. That was a fun angle. So.
Absolutely.
All right. So this week, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about some underrated angles, well, not so much angles, but some angles.
No, I got a few.
You got a few?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to explain the brainchild I had here was we're talking about the most underrated things in professional wrestling. So it could be a pay-per-view, it could be something, whatever it is that people don't talk about that they really should. Not necessarily something that, Vince shoved this guy down our throats and we think he sucks, because that's kind of what everyone thinks. But, so we're going to, talk about anything. It could have been a storyline, an angle, performer, manager, whatever that just doesn't get the respect they deserve amongst the wrestling fanatics, if you will.
If you wheels. All right, man. And of course, because my brother from another mother over here absolutely loves him a top 10 list.
That's right.
We're going to break this down into a two-parter. So this week we're going to go 10 through 6.
Yes.
Next week we'll follow it up with our top 5s.
Yes, because our listeners know we like to ramble and get off topic. And
way off topic.
So we figured it might be tough to cram 10 into a 1 hour episode. So we're going to break it up into 2.
Well, I mean, even when we had 2 hours, it was hard to cram 10 of them
into
2 hours.
We'd always end up just running through the last 3 real quick.
Okay, and this is why, we also had a lot of crossovers, so we were able to kind of shorten it that way. But This time, I don't see us doing a lot of crossover.
I don't think so, because this was kind of a broader stroke of
Yeah.
things. And this is where we really get into the subjectivity that is professional wrestling, because it's art and not a competition. So
Exactly. And unlike other podcasts, we have a little bit of unbiasedness.
well, unless we're talking about my sister, Candice LeRae, or my brother-in-law, Johnny Gargano. Yeah, I'm pretty unbiased.
All right, hey, be in there, mark it. 4 minutes in. 4 minutes in, he name dropped his sister.
The first name drop of the episode.
All righty.
I mean, or if we're talking about a couple other people that are friends, like Cassius Ohno, or people that used to be friends that aren't friends anymore, like that other guy from Riverside. Yeah, the video game
that
thing.
Dude,
yeah, that guy.
And I'm not talking Johnny Suave, who actually, I mean, he was trained by that dickhead, but he's doing the gimmick better in Arizona than it's
awesome.
being done.
I like that you just jumped on board with me shitting all over TJ.
Dude, you know what, man? It is what it is. The guy is fun to watch.
Sometimes.
But
when he's wrestling for the fans and not himself, yes. Accurate.
But, on the same token,
he's tremendously skilled in the ring.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll
tremendously.
We always do TJ the performer, not TJ the person.
Yes.
Same thing we may or may not do with that an unnamed Canadian wrestler.
The one we don't talk about?
The one we don't talk about because...
The murderer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's always a fucking downer.
Yeah.
So...
Well, at least we're not talking about people getting slammed in the head with cinder blocks this week.
No. This week we're... I would have to say this is probably going to be one of our more positive shows.
Yes, because, we're actually putting people over
today. We're putting people over like huge. So, Cole... Because I usually start off a top 10 list.
All right.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and start it off.
You're giving me the honors.
I'm giving you carte blanche. You get number 10. Go ahead.
All right. Good stuff.
All right.
Right there.
Okay. All right, brother. What's your number?
All right. So my number 10, starting off, following along the women's wrestling theme, I'm starting with Medusa, Alundra Blaze, whatever you want to go. I know she's a Hall of Famer and all that, but she really never gets talked about. Everyone talks about Trish and Lita, and then they go way back and talk about Moolah and Mae Young, and they talk about the old timers.
What I think is funny about that is that people who go back and talk about Moolah and Mae Young and all them were not even a scratch in their dad's pants at the point.
Well, but Moolah I mean, they were still going in the 90s, so like we saw. But Moolah actually won a title in the 80s.
Well, yeah,
she's like Rocket Robin was not wanting to do business, so they put Moolah in a mask to just go pin her, and she beat the shit out of her and pin her. So
Moolah is I've read some reports, man. She was not a nice person. So
that's the revisionist history now. Now that everyone airs out their grievances, but anyway.
So Alundra Blaze, man, like now why are you considering her? Because the way I look at Alundra Blaze was she was the trailblazer for women's wrestling.
Well, you would think that, but the problem is there was a large gap between she was over during the Brett era there, and then there was no women for a long time, but they just had Sunny. And then what's her Sable, and they were just there.
They had eye candy.
Yeah, exactly. And then later in the 90s, Lita and Trish and these girls came in and started wrestling, and everyone kind of considers that the beginning of our current, women's revolution, whatever you want to call it. But all the way up until the mid 80s, even into the late 80s, women were a big part of the business. And then they kind of went away, and then they said, okay, we got a new women's division. And just my thing is, if you take her matches from that era, Alundra Blaze, her WWF women's title run, you could stack those matches up against anybody in the business right now, and they were phenomenal. The German suplexes and the strong style. I mean, she was working snug, and I mean, those matches were really incredible and stand up against anybody, not just that was the end of the, good. That was the end of women were actual wrestlers, and the beginning of the that's good enough for girls kind of attitude in the business.
Well, I mean, then you could go ahead and pat that bro, that guy on the back, because when she came back to WCW,
right, and they fucked that up.
well, I'm not even talking dropping the title in the trash can, but and that's why I think she is. I wouldn't say she was overrated, but she was like right on course. Other than, most companies weren't doing a lot of women's wrestling.
Well, I mean, she just kind of
time.
fell off was really what it was. But even in WCW, they really didn't do anything with her.
In the latter years, in the Vince Russo years, she was the cruiserweight champion. She won it from Chavo.
Nobody was watching when that happened.
I know. I mean, it was bad. I would flip it over there, but, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But okay, good choice though. I mean, for you, that's a great choice.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at in this.
Okay,
but because I really think her in-ring work is so good.
Yeah,
so good, and she just doesn't really get mentioned.
And her match with who is it, Bull Tanaka?
Yeah, all those
awesome.
Yeah,
she was great. So I will give credit where credit's due. She's awesome.
Yeah, phenomenal worker. And
I guess
I'd like to see her get a little more love.
Pretty underrated.
Yeah, Hall of Famer and all, but like she just gets lost in the conversation to me.
I get you. My number 10 is he's one of these guys.
One of the four guys?
One of the four guys. One of the original.
Yeah, well, we might be talking about Four Horsemen a few times.
Yeah, because other than Rick.
Yeah.
My number 10 is Tully Blanchard.
Good choice.
Tully Blanchard is probably the most underrated member of the Four Horsemen that there is. And I mean, and of wrestling. The guy was great.
Yeah, he was.
He was awesome at getting heat because he played himself.
Yeah,
Tully was a dick.
That's what everyone says.
Everybody says Tully was a dick. So he just played his. Thank you. This is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
But Tully was a multiple-time TV champion, multiple-time
tag
US
champion. Yeah.
The Brain Busters, one of my favorite tag teams of all goddamn time.
Yes.
Of all time. I'm ripping off another. Ha! So, I should say that I'm ripping it off because I am on the YouTube, but
no,
anyway,
it's fine.
So,
you just as long as we give credit where credit is due, it's okay.
WhatCulture.com.
Yeah,
Jules from What Culture. There you go.
I don't know.
But Tully was probably the most underrated of all of those guys.
Well, he might have been the best pure worker out of the group. Yeah. Like honestly. He's right up there with Flair in my book. Like the way he sold his ass off and was chicken shit heel and everything. I mean, he's really a great, all-time great performer.
Yeah.
But I think the more than anything other, I mean, him being a jerk kind of hurt his, but the drug problems kind of knocked him down before he could really elevate.
I mean, it was the 70s and 80s and, that Texas territory. And
we might have a couple people that drug problems are the reason they're underrated.
Drug problems are the reason a lot of these cats are underrated. But, when it came to Tully, if you didn't have Rick there.
Yeah.
Tully was.
Yeah, he was probably the star of the group. Yeah,
he was the number one heel. He was a heel to a fault because Rick was just too fucking cool.
Yeah, he was cool and people liked him. Yeah,
exactly. Tully, you wanted to bitch slap Tully right in his fucking mush, like you wanted to. Tully.
Yes.
And I didn't get to see a lot of Tully. I didn't grow up watching WCW
or NWA
for that matter. I did.
Yeah, you got the Brain Busters.
I got the Brain Busters, and Brain Busters. Come on, man.
Dude, the matches with the Rockers and the Hart Foundation are just phenomenal.
Yeah, probably the three best tag teams in the world in one company at
the same time.
So I mean, the only other time
not
I could
too
see
far
that,
removed from the Bulldogs too. Like I mean, just think about that era of tag team wrestling, man.
You're bringing this up because you listened.
And the Rougeos are great. Like no, I mean, I just that era of tag team wrestling is oh my goodness. But even if you go to NWA and you look at like LOD and then the right at the late 80s, the Steiners starting being a thing, but you got the Midnight and the Rock. Like there's so many great teams.
See, and I was never Never a fan of the Midnight Express or the Rock.
You're gonna hate my number 9.
I know. I know. You know what though? It's okay. All right. You know what? Since you bring it up,
segue. My number 9 is the Midnight Express. Midnight is because Bobby Eaton.
I love Bobby Eaton.
Oh my goodness, Bobby Eaton.
Bobby Eaton, the way that dude bumped. The way that dude sold,
yep,
like, and that's what you will hear everywhere with this shit.
This is awesome.
80s. This is some Smoky Mountain Wrestling shit, motherfucker.
That's right.
Oh, excuse my French.
No, it's
heavens to Betsy's. I'm sorry, man.
What are you doing right now?
I just can't. I can't with this shit. I'm not a big fan. Like, I'm not a big fan of Southern wrestling. Like, it's cool.
You don't like the real shit. Like you don't like when it's real wrestling and they're going out and they're fighting.
Well, and especially with some of the fucking stories that I've heard about those guys in particular. Like the whole sticking your finger in fucking Ricky Morton's ass. Like, that shit's just. But you know what's
that's
funny?
Good-natured ribbing right there.
Those fuckers are still doing that shit to this day. It's cool. I mean, it is what it is, but I don't really consider them underrated. They were the top of the goddamn Southern Territory.
Well, the Midnights were the guys always chasing. They were the shit heels, and they don't ever get mentioned. Like everyone talks about the Rock and Roll, of course, because they were the top baby faces. And everyone talks about, oh my God, those guys.
Oh. From Bad Street.
Michael Hayes and the Freebirds, the fabulous Freebirds. Like, they all, and the Midnight just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Because again,
or the Von
that
Erichs.
era, yeah,
that's more Texas.
But. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of tag teams that were really fantastic that got. Like the Fantastics, really. I mean, there was a lot of tag teams at that time. The Sheep Herders,
Killer
all
Bees.
these, the Killer Bees were okay, but I mean, like the Rougeaus. The Rougeau brothers were in the running for my list because they had pretty much the best tag team match I've ever seen in my life with the Hart Foundation.
Mountie kicked that off your list, didn't it? The Mountie did it for you, didn't it? You're like that fucking electric cattle prod on a pole match.
That's it. No, that's it.
Or what is it? The loser spends a night in jail match or some shit?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about overrated shit. That was. But I mean, that's kind of where I was. Just like looking at guys like the Rougeaus who just never ever get mentioned as a great tag team. And when you really go back and look at their actual work, it's like, man, these guys are phenomenal. And that's where Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane for me are just like.
They're good.
They never get their due respect.
But everybody and their dog fucking puts them over. Like, they really do.
Well, everybody over the age of 50 puts them over, sort of. Like,
well,
they never come up in my conversations with people.
Having the network, a lot more of that stuff is being brought up, and in certain circles, we do talk about shit like that. Me, I'm not going to bring them up because I personally
you don't care.
Fan.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people just don't know. That's really like in our age group, like we don't really care about NWA. Like people 10 years older than us.
I wouldn't go that far because I did care about the NWA. I still care about the NWA.
Yeah, but that's something for me. It came later in life.
Yeah,
like I didn't like when I got into tape trading. That's when I'm like I started collecting NWA shit, so I could see all these old matches and. These guys like Dusty Rhodes that we only saw in polka dots. Which was
polka
over.
Dots, baby, polka dots everywhere.
Which was over, though. I mean, he got the polka dots over. It was great.
Dude, he got... Not only did he... Let's not... We'll do a full fucking Dusty episode
That'd
if
be
we
fantastic.
have to. Okay, so my numero 9 is actually... It's a match.
Okay, perfect.
It's a fucking great match.
Sweet.
And it is sorely over. In fact, the whole angle is sorely overlooked.
Yeah.
Because of one guy. I mean, if it weren't for Hogan, this angle probably would have been the fucking top of the card.
Yeah.
But Rick Rude and Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
That whole goddamn program.
Fantastic.
You had a really, really, really good freaking Jake Roberts. I mean, Jake Roberts was probably right around his prime at this point.
For sure.
Rick Rude. Rick Rude was in his prime until the day he died.
Well, yeah. Until he broke his back, but I mean,
6, 7 times. Keeps it up.
I
Good
can't
stuff.
see it, but I can.
You can
remember
see it.
But you know what I thought was the coolest part about like Rick Rude?
Yeah.
I mean Rick Rude. I know for a fact we're going to talk about Rick Rude again because
Oh yeah, because he's phenomenal. He's like
great.
one of my top heels ever.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Will all you fat sweat hogs in the front row keep it down while I take off my robe?
Yeah, and show you what a real man looks like.
You know what? He was, to throw out another catchphrase, he
Yeah.
was the total package.
Oh yeah.
You know, he had the look. He had the fucking
Well, he was like
mustache.
the prototype look. Like
Yeah.
if you were like 80s wrestler, plop it out, boom, Ravishing Rick Rude with the big curly hair. But my goodness, and the best theme music ever. My goodness. Like
Dude,
you
I
just
love how
know
his-
this guy's a dick as soon as you hear his music. Like
And I love how his finisher is, it's just a fucking neck breaker.
yes.
But
Yeah,
it does
but-
that little fucking, that ass wiggle, and that's what gives it the power.
But
It's
that's
the-
it. We're
it's the
we're
light.
going back in time to when people used to actually, protect the business and
Yeah.
sell shit. And so if someone broke your neck, snapped you down by your head, and
Yeah.
it would actually hurt in real life, and you would sell it.
Yeah,
And
nowadays it's just a move.
that's right. It's just a high spot.
So, but yeah, man. But the match itself was great. Rude comes out.
Yeah.
He's got Jake Roberts' an airbrush picture of Jake Roberts'
Yes.
wife's face.
Oh, my God.
Right on his crotch. Like that is real fucking heat right there.
Yeah, but also it's one of those things. Again, we're talking about reality. Like everyone's known that guy they work with, or that's friends with their girl, or whoever. That's just kind of like you know he's into her, and you just kind of
Yeah.
like, God, what a douche kind of thing. And
Uh-huh.
and so when you bring that to real life, and there's like guys actually going after your girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's horrible, horrible. But the angle probably would have been the top angle of that pay-per-view if it weren't for Hogan being on.
But
top.
one of my favorite side stories, just a little sidebar into that, I went and saw Jake Roberts do his live show, right? And he talked about a rib that he pulled on Ravishing Rick Rude, because he always did the gimmick. He'd find an attractive female in the audience and bring her into the ring and lean her back and kiss her and give her the thrill of a lifetime type gimmick, right? So Jake had a female companion type situation that was in that town, an attractive female, and he set it up so she would be the girl selected on this night. He took her in the back and had her do the favors for him, but he told her not to consume, but leave it in her mouth. And so when Rick Rude went to kiss her on the mouth, she would then spit his seed into the mouth of Rick Rude in the middle of the ring in front of an audience. And immediately he popped his top.
Oh my God, that you've told that story before, and
It's
each
so good
time
every
you tell
time.
me that story, like
B does not approve.
he doesn't approve. He doesn't like the snow job.
Fuck out of here, you motherfucker!
This fucking guy.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, but so my number 9 is the angle between Rick Rude and Jake Roberts. It
Yeah,
was just
I
great.
agree. So great.
Yeah.
But like, why wasn't that on a pay-per-view? Why wasn't
'cause
that
wasn't it
blow-off
just-
match on a pay-per-view?
Wasn't it just on like a Saturday night's main event or something?
I don't even know if it was that. It was just they were doing it on the house shows. They did all the stuff, and they just, I don't know that they ever had a big match like
No,
for the
because
world
it-
to see. Like I'm sure at some point it had to be on a Saturday night's main event or something.
Yeah,
but my
the whole
goodness.
angle was great. All right, so
My
what's your
how the
number
business
8?
has changed, right? Because that would have been but let's just, they took the time and months to build that shit up, right? That would have been a 3-week angle, and it would have been on a throwaway match on TLC or some
205
bullshit.
Live.
Yeah, right. Oh. So we're up to my number 8.
You're number 8.
Oh, okay. Now this one might not be too popular with the wrestling fans, because this is one that there is this prevailing bullshit going around in this world that Hulk Hogan is not a good in-ring performer. And so my number 8 most underrated thing in the history of this business is Hulk Hogan's in-ring abilities. Because this dude is a damn good worker. My God. Like, I'm not the biggest Hulk Hogan fan, and I'm not saying he's Eddie Guerrero, okay? I mean, he's not Eddie Guerrero in the ring. But
Get the fuck out of here, you motherfucker!
Hulk Hogan, go watch Hogan and Sarge. Go watch Hogan in, I mean, Andre could barely walk at WrestleMania 3, and they had a passable match. I'm not going to say it was a great match, but Hogan in the ring is so good. Selling and firing up and everything he did. Like, I'm not saying he's Eddie Guerrero I wouldn't put him in an Iron Man match or anything like that, but I'm saying Hulk Hogan in the ring is much better than people give him credit for. They act like he's Great Khali, and he is decidedly not. So I will turn the floor to you, my friend. You can have it, and you can shit all over what I just said, but I'm right. So go ahead.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC.
Apparently. Hogan is a predator, but no. I mean, he may be. I'm not
I hope
positive
not.
about
I
that.
don't think so. He's a hero.
I am a real American.
Train, say your prayers, and take your steroids.
Actually, I do like this version of this song. Anyway, no. Hogan. Dude, it's a hard. That's.
You can't.
I mean,
you can't even dispute it.
I can though, and here's why. Okay, so when it comes to Hogan was he's very slow, very clumsy in the ring.
False.
No, fuck your
It was
face.
false. Watch his match with Stan Hansen. Watch his Japanese stuff. Watch him with
Okay,
Muda.
see, and now this is actually this is my thing. In the WWE, WWF at the time, Hogan didn't need to do a lot. He didn't
No.
have to because he was already fucking over.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
jump on it with you if you go back to the AWA.
Yeah.
And if you do go back to some of his shit in Japan and even the stuff that he was doing while he was in the WWF.
Okay. All I need
Japan
to
was
do.
great.
Go ahead.
It was good. It was good. I won't say great. I did say great. I want to retract that. It was good. And Hogan, as far as firing up and selling
Yeah.
and getting a crowd into a match, yes, he was good. Now,
All I have to say is that this dude
now,
went 35 to
hold
40
on.
minutes.
I'm not done. You said your piece. I'm gonna refute on it.
Okay.
Then maybe
Okay.
you'll get
Okay.
more before I say here's my number 8. Hogan, like the only match he's had to carry somebody through is probably Warrior. And Andre at WrestleMania 3 because Andre was so goddamn limited.
Yeah.
Any other time you say look at his match with Stan Hansen? Dude, that's
Yeah,
Stan
it's
Hansen.
But
Okay,
still,
look at his match. Look
if
at
he
his
couldn't go, he wouldn't be able to keep up with Stan Hansen.
Dude, you don't need to keep up with Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen will fucking put you where you need to be. That guy, for being blinder than a goddamn bat, that dude's underrated as fuck too.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
For sure.
he was right on the cusp of my bottom 5.
Nice.
I'm not saying that he did not make my top 5 though. That's something that you'll get to hear next week. But no, if you do want to go and see good Hogan matches, not great, not epic, but good. Look at his stuff from the AWA. Look at his stuff from Japan. But no, you're fucking wrong. Hogan is probably top 5, one of the top 5 biggest egos in the biggest ego in the fucking business, other than maybe Vince himself.
Depending on who you talk to.
one of the two Vinces. So but I'll give it to you. You can. That's an entry.
All I'm saying is, look how bad the Ultimate Warrior is most of the time, and there's only been 3 people that got really good matches out of him: Ravishing Rick Rude, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan. That's it. The rest of his stuff is the drizzling shits.
Dude, and even those matches are not good.
Oh no, those matches are good. The retirement match with Savage is fantastic. The match with Hogan is fantastic. It's a really good match.
The match with Savage and
Rick Rude in the cage and everything. Really good matches.
I loved the match, Rick Rude in a cage.
Well, I love the one where Rick Rude won the Intercontinental title and Heenan held the feet under the ropes. Like all this stuff. But again, that's like Warrior was the drizzling shits. But those 3 guys got good matches out of him, like legit pay-per-view main events. Now, I'm not saying that when you watch the 3-minute bear hug in the Hogan Warrior match, when you compare it to today's product, that you're not going to go, okay, this is bullshit. But if you look at it in just the match as a whole for 30 minutes, it's a damn good match. I'm not saying it's 5-star fucking Dave Meltzer bullshit, but it's a damn good match in the wrestling business. So what's your number 8?
Dave Meltzer. No.
No, that's overrated bullshit.
That's in 2 weeks. No, my number 8 is a dude. He's got some longevity. I mean, he's been around for I don't know. Seems like forever now.
I like that you memorized this because I had to write my shit down so I could.
Oh, dude, I have literally been thinking about this list for 2 weeks straight now because we fucked up. We weren't here last week, so. Yeah, man, I've been thinking about it like nonstop.
Nice.
Like, because this is probably one of my favorite
people
lists.
were trying to put thought and stuff into the show.
And plus, I was looking at my notes before.
Good man.
We came
Good
in.
man.
My number 8 is Goldust, Dustin Runnels. Dustin Rhodes.
Call him the natural.
Exactly. See, he's been consistent.
Yes, very.
Very consistent for the last,
5
years?
Yeah, almost 30.
Almost 30 years. I mean, he's gone through his trials and tribulations. Goldust, I mean, is a freaking enduring character who has gone through so many changes. And that's just one character.
Yeah. But not to mention Dustin and
Dustin,
whatever other bullshit gimmicks he did. Yeah.
And whatever that bullshit he was in TNA where he was like the anti-Goldust. He was like silver and black. I can't remember what he was called in there. He had a fucking rat. He feuded with Abyss, and it was a great feud with Abyss.
Yeah.
Dustin, when they gave him the nickname The Natural, it's the truth. You know, he is probably one of the best pure workers in the business ever.
Yep.
You know, when he came in to the NWA, to Crockett Promotions, and you know, he was just Dusty's son.
Yeah.
You know,
which was probably why Goldust happened in the first place. They didn't want Dusty's kid. You know?
No, they didn't want Dusty's kid. And come on, he's got so much dedication to the business. He was willing to go through and get titty implants to get a character over. I think that is, it's fucking nuts. But it's tits to me.
Nuck and futz, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty awful.
Yeah, it is. It's awful.
I know what we need. Titties on Goldust. What?
Golden titties. But, I mean, and it was his idea. Like, he's like, you know what? This will get me over. But, you know, he was one of the first, I wouldn't say androgynous characters because that was more...
Lanny Poffo was similar in the 80s. And
the
Genius.
What's his name?
Gorgeous
Adrian
George,
Adonis.
like way back in the day, was like the original. But back in the 50s.
With Goldust, I mean, he did like the S&M kind of shit when he had.
Oh yeah, he was a little more over the top. They went pretty deep.
They did deep dive, but he's also got one of the most underrated matches of all time in the Hollywood Backlot.
Oh
Brawl
yeah,
with
Piper.
Piper.
Right.
I mean, it was an overproduced match, like super overproduced.
Well, but it wasn't that. I mean, yeah, they did this. The Bronco chase was
Yeah.
the stupid part, but I mean, that was a shoot fight. Like they didn't have stuntmen. They didn't set it up.
No.
They didn't take multiple takes. They did that one take as a shoot, just one
Over
solid
a couple
thing.
of
Yeah.
days, though.
Well, yeah, but the whole fight
Yeah.
was they did it 2 days before the pay-per-view, but
Mhm.
like the brawl part, but that was legit. They did it in one take and shot the whole thing, and we're like, all right.
And that is one of my all-time favorite matches to just go back and watch. Just because, I mean, it starts out with Piper just getting everything all wet with the hose, and then
yeah.
Goldust coming in with his car, and I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was a fun match.
Yeah, they
And
hit a
his-
man with a fucking car. He broke his hand and shit.
Then he transitioned into more of a comedy character with Booker and with R-Truth, and I liked.
Oh my god, the character with the Booker T tag team was some of the funniest shit ever.
Some of the best.
Yeah.
And
He's a
then-
dictator.
gets put into a freaking electric. He gets electrocuted, and now he's got Tourette's.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it was fun.
Yes.
It was a funny ass character. And then I loved it when he was, and I know Cody fucking hates it, but I loved it when it was him and Stardust.
Yeah.
You got the two Rhodes boys.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
that was a fun tag team. It's always one of those, like, I just never understood why WWE didn't push anything. Like, it's one of those things like, why are you not pushing this more? Why? But
Dude,
I
they-
mean,
they
Cody's
could've-
proven to them they should have gotten,
Yeah. Like, how fast did All In sell out?
yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah,
Some shit
Fuck,
like
guys.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, come on,
So,
come on, bruh.
Yeah. So that's my number 8, man.
No,
Dustin
that's
Reynolds.
that's solid. That works for me. I mean, depending on who you talk to, there's a certain wrestling reporter that hates the fucking guy who just shits all over everything.
I
he's
don't
ever
know
done.
why.
I don't either. Well, he's got to have heat with Dusty. It's got to be. He just doesn't like the
Or
Rhodes
you
family
you're
in
talking
general.
about
Yeah,
the
the
bowel
fucking
movement?
Meltzer guy. Yeah,
Meltzer.
yeah, he fucking shits all over everything Goldust is.
2 weeks time,
does,
we'll,
whatever.
We'll talk about that. guy.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
Yeah. Although I will
He's a great reporter. When he's actually reporting fact, he's
credit where
great.
credit's due. If you do listen to the Jericho podcast,
Yeah,
him and Jericho did a podcast about Dynamite Kid,
yeah.
and
Oh,
it was,
good for
it
him.
was great.
Yeah, I heard him on Jim Cornette a few weeks ago, and he's nice enough to talk to. But that's it. It's his job is to give fucking entertaining opinions. So
Dirt sheet.
yeah. So good for him. But
All right.
it's not any worse than us sitting here shitting all over people.
True. So we got about 24 minutes to.
Oh yeah, we're
blast
right.
through.
We're
Right
right
on.
on schedule. I
So number
think.
7.
My number 7, I have to specify, I do not mean this person as a whole. I mean a very specific part of his career where people don't talk about it enough, and even he shits all over it, but it's one of my favorite things. Even when I was a kid, I loved it. Stunning Steve Austin in WCW is to me, being real talk, I like Stunning Steve more than I like Stone Cold to a certain degree. Like, of course, the outside the ring antics of Stone Cold is some of the best shit that ever happened. Especially him and Kurt Angle having to sing off for Vince and kissing his ass. Like, that's
Oh, I
some of the
love that
best
shit.
stuff ever. And then, what? But
What?
Stunning Steve, my goodness, the matches he was having as the entrance music, my goodness. But the matches he was having as the United States champion or television
TV
champion,
champion.
oh my God, they were so good. The stuff with Steamboat, where he realized he couldn't beat Steamboat, so he's just trying to throw him over the top rope and get disqualified. Because for those of you that don't know, back in WCW in the early 90s, Bill Watts was the booker and took over and said, you throw him over the top rope, it's a disqualification. No one can jump off the top rope or it's a disqualification. No mats around the ring. Keep it in the ring and grab a headlock, motherfucker. So this match, he's like trying to throw Ricky Steamboat over the top rope to get intentionally disqualified, and he's doing the skin the cat gimmick and keeps coming back to fight him, and he does it again, and he finally beats him. It was so good.
Stunning Steve was great.
Stunning Steve. Whoa, so good.
And I mean,
And that led us to the Hollywood Blondes. Oh my goodness. Love the Hollywood Blondes.
dude, I
Are we segueing?
okay, we should, Let's go ahead. We'll segue to my number 7, which is the Hollywood Blondes.
Nice.
Actually,
we didn't even do this on purpose.
No. Actually, it's an angle with the Hollywood Blondes. The Hollywood Blondes and the Horsemen. You know, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. So that angle to me is very underrated because they were pulling the Hollywood Blondes were pulling out like comedy. Like some the Flair for the Old skit, you know, parodying the Flair for the Gold, and it was way before its time. It really was.
Well, everything Brian was. Yeah.
Pillman, yeah, it was way before its time. But the Hollywood Blondes are probably the most underrated tag team. I mean, I don't even think they got the championships.
I don't think they did. I don't know that they did, but man,
you know, and
it's one of those where
so much chemistry.
They did,
you know, together, and then they were doing a lot of stuff with Steamboat and Shane Douglas.
Yeah.
And, you know, with Ric Flair and Arn Anderson.
Well, it's one of the biggest problems with that tag team is when they put them together, whoever the booker was, all those guys, they didn't really want them to get over. They just wanted them to get other people over.
Yeah.
And they just refused to push them when they were the best thing on the show.
Yep.
Because it was like, no, the Horsemen are going to be over. Dusty's going to be over. Fuck these guys. They're fodder to get other people over. But it got over so hard.
Yeah.
And that's one of those politics in the business kind of moments where it's like,
as soon as they started getting over, like hard, like super hard, split them up.
He said super hard.
You're so fucking juvenile sometimes. You know that?
Agreed.
All right. But yeah. So there's my number 7. Actually, my number 7 was probably a little lower down on it, but I went ahead and I jumped it up to number 7
so
that
we
could go ahead and correlate that.
Oh, that's silly.
Well, just 'cause it needed to be. You were talking about Stunning Steve. I really want to talk about Pillman whenever I can.
Yeah.
Because I like to get Pillman over to my three of people watching.
Oh my goodness, we got 3 people watching live on the YouTubes. Hi, people on the YouTubes. We appreciate you.
We do.
Share the link. Let's get it up to 7.
Yes. we should do a "We will not kill this puppy" if you start sharing.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Hey,
I'm
dude,
not
it
killing
works
a
for
puppy.
what culture? I'm not gonna kill a
That's
puppy.
what my cousin's doing this week. He's killing puppies. Oh,
what the hell?
Not really. He had an unfortunate situation with his dog getting sick, and they had to take the puppies out early, and so it was tough for them to make it through. But I'm just gonna say he killed him.
Oh, gross.
I'm gonna blame him.
Dog murderer. All right, so
puppy murderer.
Man, and you gotta. One of my best goddamn friends on this planet. And I thought you were talking about Shane or something.
No, we're talking about Brett as he is. Yes, killing puppies.
Damn you, Brett.
He also helped me finish my living room this weekend, so I probably shouldn't talk too much shit.
No.
So.
That guy is handy as fuck.
He is. He's awesome.
I love your cousin.
He's great.
He is
It's
seriously one of
another name drop.
And we share a birthday.
Yeah, good for you.
Yep.
Good for you. That's an inside joke just for my wife. Love you. Okay, no.
She's one of the four watchers.
All right. Yeah,
cool.
Share that link. You guys are awesome. Our listeners listening and doing what we asked. Look at them. So inside story, I went to a barbershop convention, and my quartet competed. And
all right, number 6.
No. We got to. You're the one who rushed through it. Now we got to kill 20 minutes to talk about one person. So, so we went. What we do is we compete, and we have judges, and then the judges give you a coaching session, kind of tell you what you did or what you can improve. And the guy's from New Zealand, great dude, but he would give us stuff to do, and then you sing for them, and he'll try to do it. And every time we do what he was asking, oh, good for you. Oh, good for you. Oh, yes.
This is the best.
Yeah.
Baby on board. something. Burt Ward.
Yes. Good times. So.
All
But that's where that comes from. So from time to time, good for you. It was hilarious. It was hard not to laugh in this guy's face, but we'd start singing and he's like, "Oh, good for you."
Right. Crikey. I love Kiwis.
Yeah. Oh, dude, every one of them that we've met at a convention, they're the nicest. They're the nicest.
I
people
hear,
in the world.
people in New Zealand are freaking awesome.
It's great.
You know,
Great
plus
humans.
There's hobbits there. So
Well, that's fun
that's
too.
a fun
I haven't
thing.
been yet, so maybe someday. If I get better at this barbershop thing, then they'll take me to New Zealand and give me money to sing for them. So
What?
yeah,
No way.
yeah, I am an international barbershop champion. So yeah, not in a quartet.
Woo!
Hey. There's only so many people that can say they're a legit world champion. I'm one of them. Leave me alone.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So, what's your number 6?
Number 6. Now, this might be because I'm also a hefty man, and I was a fat guy in the wrestling business, and he was one of my true inspirations as a fat guy trying to wrestle and not be, slow as shit and boring and whatever else. So my guy that's underrated for me, that's someone that should definitely be talked about more, is the one and only Bam Bam Bigelow. I fucking love that guy.
Man, I wanted to have more arguments with you tonight. That really kind of pisses me
Oh,
off. That
don't worry. When we get to the overrated one, that's going to be the argument one. Because I disagree with a lot of the pop culture wrestling
number 1
references.
most overrated.
Well, I'll flip this table over.
Oh shit. So, all right. So give me your reasons why Bam Bam is so underrated.
All you have to do is watch anything he did in ECW. Watch the stuff with Taz where they broke the ring, or when he pressed Spike Dudley and threw him into the 14th row. That angle is insane. Yeah, the crowd surfed. The crowd caught him and oh my god, that you talk about one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But even in WWF, even the feud with Doink, you're watching oh my god, this is phenomenal. But you watch the matches he had with Bret Hart, at King of the Ring, whatever. I'm like, oh my god, this guy can go, and he's not slow, and he's agile, and he can do moonsaults, and he can cartwheel, and he keeps up with these guys that are half his size, and he didn't just lay there in the ring holding a sleeper hold, headlock, bro,
Headlock.
or work a bear hug for 5 minutes, and then do an earthquake drop or something.
See, and that's one of my biggest problem about the 80s is a lot of that big dude wrestling. It's just punch, kick.
It wasn't even so much that those guys couldn't do it. It's just that's what the style was. It was more about working the crowd. If you ever heard Jesse Ventura talk about it, he's like, I used to go 20-minute draws with Jimmy Snuka, and we wouldn't even lock up until minute 19 because they'd just be bullshitting with the crowd for 19 minutes,
Yeah, but see, I like wrestling Terry Funk, old Terry Funk, Harley Race. I'm
exactly.
Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher and those cats. Not just
King Kong Bundy.
Nah, not King
right? He's the shits.
He is the drizzling shits.
And there were a lot of guys that got over in the business just because they were giant fucking dudes and they were huge and they looked like they would be hard to beat up. And so they're just like, oh yeah, we'll put King Kong Bundy out there, and then main event WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But he's the shits. He can't do anything, but he looks like he's menacing. And so we're going to just be like, all right, King Kong Bundy, go ahead. But yeah, for me, Bam Bam was like a transcendent performer.
Bam Bam was
so
awesome.
Fantastic.
He was the first. I'm just gonna flat out say it. He was the first fat guy I've ever seen do a fucking moonsault.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really like a real moonsault. It was kind of like a weird.
Yeah, he did like the 3/4 funk salt.
Yes, like the one that Terry Funk used to.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I liked his. As overrated as I think Hogan is, their feud was really good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're just. He's one of them cats that could work with anybody.
Absolutely.
And I think
And in any era, you could plop Bam Bam Bigelow in right now,
one of my
and he'd be over.
favorite and also underrated, like little kind of factions,
Mm-hmm.
was the New Jersey Triad from WCW.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Him, DDP, and Chris Kanyon. I mean,
Yeah.
it was very short-lived. You know, it
Well,
didn't last.
yeah, by the time they got there, the company was going under.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, it was Russo
Yeah.
was fucking booking weird shit, but the New Jersey Triad was
Yeah.
cool. It was a good way to keep DDP a heel, and bringing Bam Bam in as their fucking heater. I mean, come on, dude, that was perfect fucking booking from a guy who couldn't do perfect booking.
Well, but even if you go back, the reason that happened was because of WCW, or ECW rather, where he was with Candido and Shane Douglas.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they were doing that, and it was just kind of a reboot. They just like, fuck it, let's just But oh man, like, just his body of work, you could put up, to me, in ring, his body of work, you can put up against anybody, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, he's good.
Yeah, and not just other big men.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
literally anybody.
Yeah.
He's a great solid worker. My number 6, I mean, it's another thing where we're not gonna argue about it so much
You don't
as
know that.
I do actually. Hey B, can you hit the evil version of that song you played on our intro for me? If you can
Evil
find it.
Doink the Clown. Whoa, look at that foreshadowing. We didn't even do that on purpose.
No, but I like Doink.
Oh. Yes.
There we go.
Oh.
So, my number 6, Doink the Clown. And I'm not talking any Doink the Clown. I'm not talking Steve Lombardi, Doink the Clown. I'm not talking,
Ray Apollo.
not Ray Apollo. We're not talking, oh shit, what the hell is his
Steve
name?
Kern.
What's the other cat? The dude from
No,
Demolition.
Skinner. Skinner did Doink.
But so did homeboy from Demolition. Darso, Barry Darso.
Oh, I don't remember that happening
I'm
ever.
almost positive. I'm talking Matt Bourne.
Yes.
Or Mike.
The only Matt Bourne, the only
Matt
one who
Bourne.
actually got the gimmick.
The gimmick was awesome.
The gimmick was
only-
literally for him.
the only other person I could have seen doing that, and it was kicked around, was Thrasher. Thrasher
Yeah,
from the Headbangers.
Yeah. Someone
was
who
gonna-
embraced the evil clown gimmick
Yeah.
and didn't want to be a fun clown.
Yes, sir, B.
So I got a list of everybody who's been doing. You want me to give it to you?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
sweet.
Okay, Matt Osborne,
Matt Osborne. There
Well,
we
yeah,
go.
but Matt
Uh,
Bourne was his work name. Yeah,
Steve Kieran,
Kern.
yeah
Kern?
Steve Kern.
Steve Lombardi,
Yep.
Ray Apollo, Dusty Wolf,
Nice.
Oh, I forgot about
Ace
this.
Darling.
Yeah.
Eugene came on as one episode.
Yes.
Recently, Crispin, man who will not be named. Jeff Jarrett dressed up as him once.
Yes.
Yep.
Chris Jericho.
Jericho dressed up as him once.
Yeah.
And Men on a Mission and
I was-
Bushwhackers
yes.
were the four
yes.
doinks.
Yes.
Yep, the 4 doinks. I remember that.
Which,
Oh.
looking back as a kid, I loved it and thought it was hilarious. But if you watch that shit now, you're gonna be like, "Oh man,
Thank you, B.
they put diarrhea on the television screen."
But yeah, man, Matt Osborne, that guy embraced.
Yes.
And when I was a kid, he is part of the reason why I have a healthy I wouldn't say fear, but
Yeah.
I've clowns give me the fucking creeps.
Yeah.
And it's
You're
not,
cautious.
I'm
Healthy
very
cautious.
Like they don't freak me the fuck out like they used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
when I was a kid, but clowns do bother me. Because why? Why the fuck would you paint your face like that? That's not going to bring you
Go
fucking
play with little
joy.
kids.
No. So that and the original Tim Curry Pennywise the Clown are
Yes.
the reasons
Yes.
why clowns just kind of creep me the fuck
Yeah.
out.
I mean, clowns are just kind of creepy in general. Like, I mean, yeah, the bright colors and the painted face, and then you're gonna go play with kids all day. Like,
And then
That's
there's a reason
creepy.
why John Wayne Gacy got away with it for so long. And I'm almost positive that Bozo the Clown was diddling little kids.
that's horrible.
I don't
He's
know.
a dead man.
You know what?
shouldn't
The only
defame him like
great
that.
clown is Krusty.
Oh.
Hey,
No,
hey!
but literally, fun story. That's where Doink the Clown was born. Hawk of Legion of Doom looked over at Matt Bourne sitting there with his hair kind of puffed out, with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He was just a miserable prick. Everyone just all the time, miserable prick. And he's sitting there, and Hawk looks at him and goes, "You're Krusty the Clown. Like, you're literally that guy from that show, just like a miserable prick. You look like a clown." And then like Bruce remembered that, Bruce Pritchard, and then they said, "We want to make you a clown." Because they were looking for something to do with him, and he was like, "I don't know about it." No, you're gonna be an evil clown. You're gonna mess with little kids. You're gonna throw water on them. You're gonna do all that shit.
And had they kept up with that and not fucking face turned and not had like 18 fucking people.
Well, that wasn't that map again. Drugs.
Yeah.
Drugs got the best of Bourne, and they had to.
Well, it's about that time.
Part 1 is done.
Part 1. So next week we are gonna go top 5 action, 5 through 1, on our most underrated things in wrestling.
And I think we might have something here that we can argue about.
I want to argue with you. God damn it.
Oh, don't worry.
I swear to God, if Bret Hart's on that fucking list of most underrated, I will flip this fucking thing.
I don't know how you can underrate the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be, but it's possible.
What the hell is that?
Thank you.
Thank you, Krusty.
All right, so that's our time for this week. Heel Talk Radio on kaoticradio.com. Please check us out next week. We'll go ahead and get with our top 5, and our top 5 better not have so-and-so in it. Anyway, thank you for your time. Cole,
Yes,
can you
sir.
dance us out? Get up. Yeah. Dance us out, YouTube. All right.